Once Human just had a brand new update as well as some patches. We'll go over some of the last few patch notes and changes that just happened. We also had a brand new dev talk going over some of the combat and optimization there. There's some brand new free rewards and compensation that just happened as well. Additionally, we'll go over some tips and tricks as well as some other mentionables. What's up, world? It's Utopia back with another video. Today we're checking out all things Once Human. Okay, so jumping right into it, let's get into the latest patches. We've had 2 of those recently. Now they do update the game, but they released the patch notes a few days later. This was going over both the July 25th and the July 26th update. Now typically with patch notes we do get an opening statement. However, with this one it's just talking about gathering community feedback and addressing your concerns. Jumping into the July 25th fixes, they fixed an issue where players were forced to exit dungeons. Seems like they were getting in a stuck state there. They reduced the Stardust source cost of biomass missiles, so now you can produce those a lot easier, especially for defense stuff. This seems like it mostly applies to Prime Wars. They increased the amount of Stardust source found in Stardust Advent loot crates, which again, Stardust source is basically like the main source or main currency of this game. Especially since energy links are kind of inflated at this point, the Stardust source is more so the main currency to upgrade your gear. It's kind of the most important, at least currently. They optimized the distribution of mods in the Stardust Advent loot crates as well, and a legendary mod is now guaranteed when using a controller to open that Stardust Advent loot crate on any difficulty. They also lowered the requirement for reaching the 3rd rating of the Prime War, and they also reduced the requirements for the raiding tasks, and they also added more tasks, making it easier for you to earn points. They fixed an issue in Prime War where the Secret Servitor's lightning skill would deal far more damage than intended to buildings and could not be blocked by buildings. I believe this is one of the Prime Wars that was really hard to complete and most people couldn't actually do it. At least it seemed like a major issue on most servers, although I don't really know because I don't have Prime Wars. I'm on a PvP server, so please do let me know on that if you're on a PvE server if there was the one that was really hard to defeat. They also fixed an issue where players always received a level 1 deviation when purchasing a deviation from vending machines or in face-to-face transaction. I'm surprised this wasn't mentioned a lot. I've seen a lot of sales for deviations and deviants. Maybe this was only a specific bug that happened randomly. I feel like a lot of people were selling rank 5 and level 5 deviants or skill rating of level 5 deviant, so I'm not too sure there what ended up happening with those transactions. I've never seen anybody talk about this in chat. Certainly surprised on that, but maybe this again was just a random bug that would happen. Jumping over, we do have July 26th updates. They fixed an issue where the Armor Mod 3 Strikes was not functioning properly, so that mod should now currently work. I've seen it in a few builds at least thrown around. If your build does revolve around weak spot damage, this could definitely be the case for it actually being useful, although there's a lot of bosses and a lot of PvE types, and just in general getting PvP players hitting on the weak spot is typically a little bit harder than usual, so I'll see if that actually does play out well. Although with most builds, I think they kind of avoid weak spot damage. In fact, there's even mods to use to not do any weak spot damage, especially because a lot of mob types and a lot of enemy types, especially the bosses, don't have weak spots, or they're just in general much harder to hit. They also fixed an issue where the Bastel 3-piece set effect was incorrectly retained, so it seems like you might not have even needed to crouch to get this effect, although this did prevent you from sprinting. Maybe there was some stuff there. Again, it's saying the effect was incorrectly retained, so maybe you were just getting the plus 40% weapon damage no matter what, and you didn't even need to crouch, or it was potentially constantly triggering that plus 40% increased damage. We'll have to see how that plays out. I haven't seen anybody mention the Bastel set as of yet. Seems like most people are going for the other sets, although I have seen this in a few builds. They fixed the abnormal HP regeneration of the Deviation Festering Gel. I've seen a lot of people using the Festering Gel as it does increase your damage, and with this HP regen nerf, I wonder if people are going to use it quite a less, since it was nerfed in beta significantly. Seems like a few other deviants are now being used in builds other than the Festering Gel. Again, it seems like they keep needing to nerf this one or change some of the things about it. Seems like it might slowly fall out of the meta, although maybe not. We'll have to wait and see on all that there. They also fixed an issue where Vulture soldiers were spawning abnormally in the Public Crisis event, Operation Chiron, and they restored the event difficulty to normal. A lot of people were saying this event wasn't worth it. In fact, I had a tip in my last video talking about using a transformation cookie, as you were just getting a ton of enemies spawning on you and it made it really difficult to actually play. Most people didn't want to do the event as it wasn't worth it, or you needed a large group, so this should be a lot easier now and worth it and not using all of your ammo. They also fixed an issue where the water pipe planter box would stop working, so if you were having any issues now, I would replace that and then put it back down to see if that does fix it. That does cover it for the patch notes side of things. Jumping over, we did have a dev Q&A going over some of the player combat and optimizations there. Their opening statement here was that they received a lot of suggestions to enhance the game's quality and overall experience, and they carefully reviewed the feedback on the 3 C's, which are character, controls, and camera. So first up here, they have walking, sprinting, and vaulting. They've talked about reducing the 0.3 second delay and refining the vaulting mechanics for smoother movement. Updates expected to be in mid-August. They even said here that the movement wind-up animation consists of about 20 movements and is quite intricate. So they're going to talk about refining some of the details there, but they will take time overall. Now, I talked about adding an additional first-person perspective. Of course, you can aim in with first-person and use that there overall, and you'll see the reload animation, but there is no way to just stay in first-person mode. They said this currently conflicts with a lot of the current game design. They'll consider adding first-person element in future scenarios and game modes, but there's no plans to add it to the future game at the present time. Now, they want to talk about an issue here called cursor delay. So they currently have implemented some optimizations. They will need you guys to report persistent issues there for further assistance. Seems like this wasn't in the patch notes at all, but there was some stuff done there. Next up, they want to talk about 3D motion sickness. So you can actually disable the camera wobble and motion blur in the settings if needed. So if you are experiencing any of the above motion sickness or 3D motion sickness, those are the two options they offer currently to actually fix that. Now, if you're wondering about sprinting toggle, you can actually change sprint to toggle. And you can also auto run in this game, so there is both toggleables there that you can access in the settings. That's under the control section of the settings. And speaking of controls, again, we had some discussion here on the controller support, which if you didn't see my last video, they are actually adding controller support in August. And they do have a last minute mentionable here, where they do say the upcoming update will also include combat optimizations, dynamic damage indicators to improve the in-game shooting experience. And if you have other suggestions, do let them know through the feedback channels. Some pretty cool adjustments there. I am super excited to see the dynamic damage indicators and see what they do with the overall optimization with combat. Could be some pretty cool stuff there. Now, for everybody that's been having territory bug issues and the territory stuff, they have actually fixed this completely, at least it seems. If it's still experiencing abnormalities, they ask you to go through the feedback channels over on Discord, and they can assist you and resolve the issue. It took them a while, but they said due to the complexity of this whole issue that's the reason why. You should be receiving compensation for that has been issued to you as well, so do be sure to check your mailbox. Also, speaking of mail and free rewards, there is a new Dawn and Saturday event. You can claim some decent rewards until July 31st, 6 a.m. server time. There's a few goodies in there, even a mining luck food, some energy links, and a few other useful things, so you definitely want to claim that before July 31st. Also, they are running here with a free giveaway for Season 1, the Top Architect Season 1 event. You can enter a chance to win 6,000 Crystagen, which again is like the paid currency in game, so you can buy stuff. Pretty cool there. If you have a really decent build, you should submit it there. Again, that will be happening on the Discord. We also got another building tip here for Foundation, some tips and tricks there. If you are trying to get your foundations different level, you can use stairs, but there's also this trick too. If you use a half wall, you can actually put a foundation on a higher up level or lower up level, depending on how you do it. Using a half wall here, this is how you do it for the higher up section. Pretty cool there. If you want to change foundation levels, that will definitely help a ton. And then again, you could use stairs to lower it. A last bit of mentionable here is we have a funny bit here. The off-road truck actually can drive straight up a wall. They'll probably need to fix that in the future, but as of right now, if you just put a straight wall up, the truck can drive up it. It's actually pretty crazy how strong this truck is with the tires and it just not falling over. Again, they'll probably need to fix some of the wonky mechanics with driving eventually. Overall, that's about covered for today's video. If you like, subscribe. Until the next one. Deuces.